Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Dave's Math Channel. I'm your host, David Tear, and this is my series on the Math Lovers book. I've been running for, I think, 3 or 4 weeks, and I'm not going to go over the Math Lovers book. I mean, you can buy this on Amazon.com. There's 3 different books. It's a 3-volume series, and it's available on Amazon, both on Kindle and in paperback, and you can look for it. And one of the features in this book, in the second volume, is biographies of famous mathematicians. I have biographies of 80 different mathematicians throughout history, and they're listed chronologically. And I'm up to the fourth one right now, and that one is Aristotle. So today I'm going to give a brief bio of Aristotle. I think most of you have probably heard of him. He was an ancient Greek philosopher. He was mainly known as being a natural philosopher, but he also made a significant contribution to mathematics, and that contribution was logic. He introduced the logical syllogism. As a matter of fact, he came up with 24 logical syllogisms, all for him something like all the classical one is all men are mortal. Socrates is a man, therefore Socrates is mortal. The general form of that is all x or y. Z is x, therefore z is y. And it doesn't matter what x, y, and z are. You can substitute anything, and it's always true. And he found 24 of these, and they're all logically sound. You can actually prove them using classical logic, which wasn't invented until the 19th century. But at least he came up with kind of the mathematical framework for logic. And I think, I don't know if it's true, but a lot of people say that logic was invented in ancient Greece and that Aristotle was kind of the pioneer of logic. I don't know. I mean, I guess that's sort of debatable. Math relies on logic, and there were mathematicians before Aristotle. As a matter of fact, I already featured 3 of them. And, since math relies on logic, they were probably using it without even knowing that they were using it. For instance, when Pythagoras supposedly proved the Pythagorean theorem, and I think it is pretty well known that he came up with a proof, or at least somebody in his school came up with a proof of the Pythagorean theorem. Well, proof requires logic, so I guess he was using it without really knowing what it was. Um, but logic is the basis for mathematics. All mathematics is based on logic. You start with a small set of premises, and then you just build from those using rules of logic. So it's a very powerful tool. So that was a very, very important contribution to mathematics. Unfortunately, a lot of his other philosophy was wrong. I mean, he was a natural philosopher, which I guess was the same thing we would call a physicist nowadays. I mean, but all of his ideas of physics were wrong. I mean, for instance, he thought, heavy objects fell faster than light objects, and he thought, nature abhorred a vacuum, and he also thought that it took a constant force to produce a constant velocity, constant speed. That's not true. In the absence of friction, it produces a constant acceleration. And, I mean, it kind of made sense what he believed at the time. Unfortunately, the scientific method hadn't been invented yet. That wouldn't come until the Renaissance in the 17th century. Was Francis Bacon who came up with the scientific method. So the Greeks didn't think of performing experiments. They just kind of had blind faith in Aristotle's laws of what he called natural philosophy, which turned out to be wrong, and the church promoted for almost 2,000 years. I think that was more the fault of the church than Aristotle. I mean, it was their dogma, you know. But I mean, he got a lot of things right, though. I mean, I do really, salute his tribute to logic, symbolic logic. Not only that, he had some good philosophy. I mean, he thought the middle path was the best, which is pretty much in line with what Buddhists and Hindus believe. I mean, very sharp contrast to the idea of, the 7 deadly sins, where you're supposed to be a complete saint. Otherwise, you're not going to go to heaven. I mean, and he was a realist. Another thing I want to say about Aristotle is that he was a hardcore realist. He was very much in contrast with Plato, who was more of what we would call an idealist, or more specifically a dualist. I mean, he believed there was a kind of a material reality and a spiritual reality. Well, Aristotle didn't believe in a spiritual realm. He thought everything, he didn't think there was anything to the universe other than what we could perceived directly through our senses. He also thought the senses didn't lie. He was wrong about that too. I mean, we all know about optical illusions, and I think Aristotle probably didn't believe in them. He thought our eyes were telling us accurate information. All our senses were telling us accurate information, and all the information we get, everything we learn about the world, is through our senses. And I don't completely agree with that. I think we learn a lot by thinking too. By analyzing the information that we're given. So, I don't agree with a lot of what Aristotle believed, but like I said, I think his main contribution to mathematics was his logical syllogisms, and I think that was a pretty great innovation. So I do think that Aristotle was a great mathematician. Anyway, that completes my biography on Aristotle. So thank you for watching. Long live math, and I'll see you guys next time.